Zealand, and thank you so much for Amnesty New Zealand Group for being here.
Hello, greetings friends. It is great indeed to be standing with you in solidarity with the people of Palestine. It is great also to be standing with you as lovers of activism, as people with love in their heart push back against the hate-based actions of Israel against innocent civilians in Gaza. Please keep that love in your heart as you continue to take action. That is the leadership that we are seeing here in Aotearoa, New Zealand and around the world. That is a leadership that we need to grow and develop. The reason we need to grow and develop that leadership is because our leaders are not showing that leadership. Our leaders are a disgrace. We need to challenge them in their lack of leadership on this issue and any and all breaches of human rights abuse. Amnesty has just recently put out a report, its global report on human rights, where we have indicated that there are grave human rights abuses occurring around the world. It makes for grim reading. But the not grim reading is that people like you every day are standing up, being counted and taking action. So I urge you to continue to do that. Right now, that flagrant abuse of human rights is epitomised by Israel's actions. They are killing on an industrial scale level innocent civilians, many of them, most of them women and children. They have displaced almost 1.2 million, almost 2 million Palestinians, and they are blocking life-saving aid. And yet their allies are also complicit in that, because their allies not only are silent, but they are actively blocking that ceasefire now call at the UN Security Council. The very architects of our human rights legislation, the human rights that we hold so dear, the human rights that we have today here with peaceful protest, the very architects of that human rights are denying that right to the people of Gaza and to the world. I'm talking here particularly about the US government, which has multiply blocked, using its veto to block a ceasefire now call at the UN Security Council. And at the same time, they are arming and funding Israel's crimes against international law in Gaza. That has got to stop. Amnesty is on the ground actually in Israel and the occupied Palestinian territory. We're talking to affected communities there. The people of Khan Yunis who got the chance to go home said that there was apoplectic destruction of their homes, of their village, of their city. That is what awaits Rafah. It cannot happen to Rafah. We have got to challenge that further abuse. It's why actually the one thing we most need is that permanent ceasefire, and we need it now. So what do we want?
Ceasefire!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Ceasefire!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Ceasefire!
When do we want it?
Now!
Thank you. But that is just the first step, because once we get that, we have to guarantee the future for our Gazan brothers and sisters. There's a lot more work to do, so please continue your activism, continue your protesting, continue being outspoken. So, these are some of the things that Amnesty International is doing here in New Zealand and around the world. We are demanding not just that ceasefire now, but unfettered aid access now. We want the release of all civilian hostages, Israeli and Palestinian alike. We need an arms embargo so that all parties in this conflict are denied access to their killing machines. And as we mark Nakba Day, Catastrophe Day, we want Israel to guarantee the right of return, something it has denied for 75 years and counting. This is the 76th anniversary of that. The right of return. It is the right of return guaranteed to them by the United Nations, and Israel has illegally stopped them from that right of return. We have got to challenge that. We are also, I've talked a bit about gathering evidence. We continue to gather evidence. Why? Because human rights abuses are occurring on all sides, and we want to ensure that all perpetrators of human rights abuses are brought before the International Criminal Court, and that they are brought to justice and held accountable for their crimes against humanity. Additionally, Amnesty International is pushing back against a tsunami of misinformation and disinformation about about events in Gaza. We are highlighting in our reports, media releases, media spokespeople again and again what is actually happening. Not the disinformation and misinformation that is widely touted out there. It is, but we also need that information out there to demand accountability as well. So, if you're looking for a source for information about what's happening on the ground, and we are on the ground and we are interviewing the survivors of this abuse, please look to Amnesty International's reports. And every day we are also pushing back as a global organisation on the governments, on the agencies, on the universities, on the corporations who would deny us the right to peaceful protest, to stand with love in our hearts, demanding a better future for the world and a better future for the people of Gaza. So again, I'm going to finish with how I started. I'm thanking you for your courage to be here today. I'm thanking you for challenging those who would deny us this right to peaceful protest. And please keep talking to your friends, keep talking to your MPs, keep challenging them to be better. Be active on social media with your calls, write letters to the editor, the old-fashioned way. Whichever way you can take action to raise concerns and highlight the need for action, do it your way. But just make sure you do it. And please do it with love in your hearts. You are more powerful with love in your hearts, despite, I know, how grim it is and how damaging what is happening to the people of Gaza really is. So, we want a better future for the people of Gaza, but right now, the only way we can guarantee they will get it if we give them a ceasefire now. What do we want?
Ceasefire!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Ceasefire!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Ceasefire!
When do we want it?
Now!
Thank you.